All right, we're going to go, what we're going to do right now, the community has just voted on the gameplay they next want to see. We're doing this live. This is live television. We're kind of going by the seat of our pants. What you have chosen on Twitter is Domination. So Chris, Alan, let's bring up Domination here in the studio. We've got some gameplay here, and I want you to talk us through what we're seeing. Why don't you go ahead and do that?
Yeah, Domination is a brand new mode we have in multiplayer, and so this is kind of an evolution of King of the Hill. You have 3 rings that are static on the map. These don't move around like they did in King of the Hill. And then your team's goal is to go capture those rings, and while you're holding them, you earn points, which you can see up there in the upper left-hand side of the screen. And the first team to the score threshold will win the match. And so what you have is it's a bit more competitive than what we had in the past. And we have these really close matches when we play tested in the labs back at Epic. You always know, by having those rings static on the map, and you know where ring A is, ring B is, ring C is, you always know where the action is, you always know where the fight is. And I think that's really one of the beautiful aspects of this mode. You always know where to go to get into the battle.
Well, I noticed that Domination is that, you talked about where to go is in the battle, but it's a choke point. Everyone's being brought there, so you're going to get action on the way there, and then once you're there, it's nonstop, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things, that we've added to all of our multiplayer modes is this new vertical nature to the gameplay. So yeah, there's choke points, but it's no longer just a flat plain choke point. Now people can run upstairs, drop down, and flank you and surprise you. And so there's this whole new nature of strategy to the maps by adding this vertical nature to them.
Tell me a little bit about, you mentioned play testing earlier. How important is play testing to a mode like this?
It's massively important. I mean, you have to get the balance right. And so, particular to Domination, when we play test, a lot of it is the location of those rings.
Right.
We want to make sure that the battle is not only fair between the two teams, but they're in the right locations where you set up really good fights. So for example, this room here, you have 3 entry points. And so when you have one team defending in the middle, you have to kind of make sure you're watching all those entry points.
And you've got some pipes you can duck behind.
Yeah,
as
and
well.
you take cover, of course, and find some really good places to kind of bunker down and defend, which is really important.
Now, so you mentioned there's 3 rings. How does the gameplay progress in terms of the balance, and do I get one, do I move to the other? Tell me a little bit about that dynamic.
Yeah, there's a lot of strategy involved in how you do that. So typically, there's one ring that's kind of near each team's spawn points, and so those are more easily captured, and then there's one that's kind of more in the middle, and then there's a lot more contention for that. So there's a lot of strategy and communication that has to happen to decide how you can essentially hold 2 or more of the 3 at all times so that you're accruing points faster than the other team.
Yeah, and I think one thing that, so we just saw him jump out of a window there, and that was something that Alan was referring to earlier, is this new verticality that we have in our maps. And we also have, a bit new approach to level design, which really favors a mode like this. It's a much more circular in terms of its movement, and so you find it's a lot easier to move around as a team and find those choke points and find those battle areas.
Now, I've had